started. So today we're going to be talking about strengthening your foundation, some operational tools for stability and success. Just a quick agenda, just overview and goals. I like to just get those out because at the end I want to make sure that we hit those goals, that you understand kind of where we're at. I want to hear from you, hear about you. We'll do introductions. I'll introduce myself. We'll talk some about operations. Then I have an activity that I want you all to do because it gives you kind of a taste of what I do and then what you can do for your business. And then also at the end, give you a space to ask questions about the activity. Then we'll talk about policy and procedures, do another activity. We'll go through different resources and tools that help me. I work really, really hard, but I also want to be efficient. So I use a lot of different tools and resources that I'm going to share with you all. So if you are able to do it by yourself, then these tools and resources will help you with that. I'll give a little start on how to get started with your own business, and then we'll have time for questions and discussions. Okay? So just a quick overview. We're going to talk about assessing and mapping business operations just to look at gaps. Risks are huge, especially if you start to get employees and anywhere there are inefficiencies. We're going to understand the role of policies and procedures. So a lot of people don't think, oh, yes, if you're a solopreneur, you don't need policies. You definitely need procedures. Everyone has a procedure. Waking up and getting out of bed and brushing your teeth, that's a process, that's a procedure. And we'll talk about how those create stability and consistency and then help you be able to grow. And then understanding how to get started with all of this because it can be very, very daunting because it's a lot of documents and words. But like I said, I'm going to show you some easy robots and tools that can help you do it for you. So our goals are going to be clarity. I want you to make sure you can leave with a clear understanding of just some operations. We're going to have an operations process activity. So just if anything, you don't have a clear view of your operations, a clear view of how to look at your operations. A good direction of at least a policy or a procedure to start with. One of the things is a lot of people get way far behind in their businesses where a lot of the tools I'm going to give you are going to help you automate documenting your policy or procedure. So while you're doing it, it can document it while you're doing it. So you don't have to stop and do it. So we'll have a direction on like, okay, I need to document this policy or this procedure. And then we'll talk about, again, you'll get the resources and tools, all the robots out there that I like to use, all the tools out there that really help me, help my clients, and help my own business. I will share those. So we made it. Thanks for being here. My friend makes me put this in all of my presentations. That's her favorite photo she took of me. So just a little bit about me. I used to own a moving company and a remodeling company in Arizona with my ex-partner. That really brought me to understand the value of policy and procedures. After documenting procedures and policies, after our first year, we increased revenue by 53%. 64% the second year and 73% the third year because things were so efficient, so consistent. We could hire people. We got really good reviews, all of that. So that, when my ex and I split and I moved to Washington, I was working as a virtual assistant. And I tend to find these startup companies and I tend to write all their policy and procedures for them. And ended up documenting all of their policies and procedures and was talking to the owner one day telling her, I was tired of being a virtual assistant because I was literally making dinner reservations for people because that's what you do sometimes. And so she suggested I start a business helping people with their policies and processes and procedures because that's just what I do. So that's how Moxie came to be. And that's what Moxie does. So in short, I do a lot of operations efficiency reviews, assessments, and really documenting policy and procedures for small businesses to kind of create that stability. So we're going to start with kind of operations. It's kind of like this big word that people like to use. And we're just going to go through the what, why, and how of them, but they are your foundation. They're all the things that do, the cogs in the wheel of your business. So it's just the day-to-day, behind-the-scenes activities and systems that keep your business running. So just all the stuff you're doing day-to-day. Why we have them, what does it do? Why are they your foundation? They can reduce chaos and confusion. I just had a brain stop. You can reduce chaos and confusion by creating clear systems and expectation on how your business runs day to day. So that's not saying every single day is the same, but for example, every Tuesday I do these certain things. Every Wednesday I do these certain things. And it keeps that kind of that system going so I don't feel like a Tasmanian devil where I'm kind of having to put all these fires out. So it can be just as easy as a system of, every day at 9 o'clock I check my emails from 9 to 10 kind of thing. Operations supports sustainable growth by making it easier to delegate, train others, and just scale efficiently. So if you have stuff documented, if you have processes, it's so much easier to bring someone else in when you are ready, financially ready. And then minimize risk and burnout by identifying gaps, which we're going to talk a little bit today, streamlining tasks, and then preventing cost mistakes. So an example of something that in my remodeling company was the guys did not know how to clean a paint sprayer and would go out and buy paint sprayers if something got clogged or broken. And paint sprayers aren't cheap, so they're spending up to $2,000 a month on paint sprayers. Well, I sat with my ex and I'm like, show me how to clean this thing. And I took pictures and a video and I put it in a book and I put it in their trucks. So anytime paint sprayer, something's wrong with it, go to this guide, troubleshooting guide. And we ended up saving thousands of dollars just because here's how you clean it, here's how you fix it, here's how you check a clog. Most of the time they were just a little rock clog in a weird spot. And so really understanding those kinds of things in our businesses, how much money we leak in our business because things aren't efficient or written down is kind of surprising. And then how we can really get there as a foundation is mapping it out. I use the word regularly review very loosely because we don't have a lot of time to do regular things, but we want to kind of identify our gaps in our tasks so we can have that growth. And a lot of the times we end up identifying these things when someone else comes in our business. We're in a hamster wheel, we're in a bubble, we're kind of doing the same things over and over again. So we're not really necessarily understanding this is why we need to zoom out sometimes in our business because we're so stuck on the inside of it. And then documenting key processes and policies and procedures that create consistency. Reducing risk is huge, especially once you get that employees coming on, and then you can delegate a lot easier. Okay, so there's top 3 risks and bottlenecks I want to talk about in operations. These might ring true to you, they might not. But the first one are kind of your business risks. So reputation and quality can go down if you miss an order, if you're rushing through something because you forgot, because it wasn't written down. Costly mistakes and errors, like I said with the paint sprayers. And then a lot of businesses I've worked with are missing licenses, they miss submissions, renewals, registrations, which can really cause risk to your business and a lot of penalties and fines if it's kind of found out. So a lot of things are kind of quarterly that we might forget that we have to do. And so these little processes, like our quarterly tasks, these are all the things I need to do every quarter, are important things to kind of think about because it can put risk to our business. Another one, founder dependency. Who feels like that founder after 5 o'clock that is still working? A lot of us are solopreneurs. I am a solopreneur, but if we want our business to really run well and not burn ourselves out and kill ourselves, because why did we start businesses? Most of the time we start businesses because we're either good at something, we wanted some sort of freedom from corporate world, all of that. We tend to put ourselves more in chains and shackles because of founder dependency, because our business is dependent on us. So if we get sick, nothing runs. And so really understanding that in our business, it also limits our scalability. You can only do so much yourself. You can't keep going. So that's a huge risk in our business operations. And then employee turnover. So if you don't have employees, that's not something to think about now. However, if you don't have things documented, if you don't have onboarding process procedures, you're constantly retraining the new employees that come in, or an employee doesn't feel like they know what they're doing, they feel frazzled, they feel stressed in the job, and they want to leave. Most of the time, people that come to work, they want tasks, they want to know what their job is. And we have a hard time as founders, either understanding what we can give up or giving up control, or understanding what the task is to delegate or the steps within the task. So a quick stat, it costs to rehire one employee, it costs 3 times the employee's salary to hire an employee. So if you lose one, just think about all the money you are taking to rehire a new one. And then a lot of bottlenecks. So a lot of time is a bottleneck if we're not efficient. So again, you're missing deadlines, you're rushing work, things are taking longer than planned to complete because there's no processes and systems, you're having to remember, reinvent the wheel, and then your tasks and to-do list keeps piling up. So that's a huge bottleneck in a lot of our businesses. Leaking money, like I said, leaking money on things that are inefficient, too much time spent on training or too much time, sourcing something, or again, if you have employees, you're paying more hours just to get them trained and get them, or if they have missed tasks. And then sometimes we miss or have to repeat things over because it's a task that we might not do all the time and we forgot and we missed a step. And then repeating yourself again goes along with the employee side. A lot of a client I had she came to me and she's like, I am tired of telling these guys to mop the floor at the end of their shift. And I'm like, well, do you have the end of shift tasks written out? Do they remember? She's like, I tell them. And I'm like, if you have it on a piece of paper with check boxes next to it, 90% of the time, it's gonna get done, if not 100% of the time. So just little things like that is a bottleneck, because then she has to go and mop the floor when everyone's gone because no one mopped it. And that takes her time as a business owner. So now we're gonna talk about, I love operations process mapping. I love policy and procedures. Sydney's like my twin flame over here. I've never met anyone in my entire life that does it and likes it like I do. So kind of the same thing. What are policy and procedures? They're communication tools. So again, they explains how your business works. And we're gonna talk the difference between the policy and procedures. I actually have a bunch of different things to show you the difference, but it ensures consistency across the areas of operations. So it really just says, this is how my business is, this is what I like. A policy is like, these are my rules on it. A procedures are, these are my steps on it. And why do you need them? They create consistency and clarity. They outline expectations and standardize how things are done in your business. So once you hire that person, you want it done the way you want it done. So write it down the way you want it done, right? That's one of the biggest things founders have trouble with, is they get mad at their employee. They're not doing it how I want it done, which I hear from clients all the time. I'm like, well, you got to tell them how you want it done. Some people give leeway, that's great, because sometimes we are stuck in our own tunnel vision on things. So again, these are living documents. Policies typically aren't as living as procedures, but sometimes people that are actually doing it see more efficient ways to do it. So typically when I do procedures with businesses or clients, I talk to the people that do it, not necessarily the business owner. Business owner's like, this is how you do it. And I'm like, okay, let me see how they're actually doing it, and let's see if we can marry the two. They reduce risk and liability, again, documenting how your business operates and ensuring your compliance. So again, making sure you have your business licenses, renewals, B&O taxes, all that stuff. And then once you bring on that first employee, your risk level goes up exponentially, because there's a lot of laws and stuff to be compliant with. And then it improves efficiency and accountability. Again, giving that clear guidance, reducing confusion, and then anytime you're ready to train someone, it's gonna make it a lot easier. And then how? You just set clear expectations, rules, and standards for your business. Again, reducing that confusion. Oh, that's very repeated. Supporting accountability, and it really improves those day-to-day operations. And then documenting, so tasks can be delegated, again, repeated accurately, and then scaled. So if you're doing something small and you have the document and procedures down and you want to double it or make it bigger, can you use the basis of it to scale it up? So people like to know the difference between policy. So there's a difference between policy, a standard, a process, a procedure, and a guideline. And so you can read the descriptions. I'm not going to go here and read the descriptions and uses. I also have examples on it. but I want to give a really high-level example that we kind of all understand, and that's driving and using a map or GPS, a map on your phone. So a policy is kind of your list of rules of the framework of the task. So that's going to be your policy or the rules and regulations of driving. Everyone knows at a four-way stop sign, you let the person go who got there first. We know that at a right light, you can turn right at a red light unless it says no turn, right? So the policies are your rules of the road. Your process is, when you first start like Google Maps or Apple Maps, it kind of shows the different ways. So that's going to be your process of how you get from point A to point B, where you're starting and where you're ending. And then your procedures is the step-by-step. So turn right at this light, turn left at this light, yield here, merge here kind of thing. So that's kind of policy, process, and procedure. And then we have standards. So standards typically are kind of more in like structured businesses. So like law firms have certain standards of like their type font on certain things. So standards it really depends. A lot of businesses don't necessarily use standards. However, what I really like to point out is there's guidelines or best practices. I also work with a law firm that's like, hey, I can't necessarily put a procedure around this because like it's if this happens, then this happens. Best practices is if this happens, this is what we typically do, but that doesn't necessarily mean like that's the hard and fast rule. So a guideline is going to be a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more generous, and give a little bit more leeway to kind of interpret it. And so these are really, a lot of people can start here and kind of move their way up if they don't want to meet. Because I hear from a lot of businesses, it's like, well, I don't want to become bureaucratic with all these like strict procedures or, so I'm like, okay, well, you also don't want them just going all over the place when they're doing something. So how about give them guidelines, right? It's like what do they call the bumper when you bowl, right? Those are some guidelines. So you can stay in the lane, but you can go to the right and you can go to the left. So any questions? That's on your page 4. So let's go to page 9 in your workbook. Oh, okay. So page 5 and 6, 7 and 8, those talk about kind of how you go about developing policies and procedures. We're not going to review that. I'll let you kind of take some time to go through that, but it really kind of goes through the different steps and examples of developing a policy and procedure. If we go to page 9, what's cool is this little checklist. Again, you're not going to sit down and write all of your policies one day or all your procedures one day. This checklist goes through of really kind of asking yourself, like, when you're prioritizing, documenting something. Does it communicate executive directions such as vision, mission, values, and objectives? That might not be even anything you need because it's not for somebody else, right? You want to kind of go through this and like ask yourself these questions. Okay, is it really, how often will employees refer to the document? If you have employees, maybe never, maybe once. If it's once, is it really that important? Or is it like every day? Am I going to be looking at this document once a quarter? Is this something I'm forgetting every quarter, so I have to have it? So it is integral. So going through this kind of questionnaire as you're developing policy and procedures will kind of help define. And if some of them might not be pertinent to your organization or your business, you might not be at a place where you have a vision, mission, values, and objectives written out. So I want to talk about some resources and tools, which is on your very, very last page, page 19, which is just all you do is close it and flip it over. There's free advisors out there. Use them. So SCORE, have you all heard of SCORE? It's okay. SCORE, it's free. It tends to be retired accountants. I don't know why there's always a lot of retired accountants. But I was lucky enough to find in Arizona, a retired human resources lawyer. So she basically what a score, you just go on to score.org, and you just type in your information. There's SCORE volunteers all over the world, or all over the United States, and you can put in the area that you want. So I had a human resource lawyer come help. I had a free accountant for a year, and they come and they just look at your books and they give you free advice. It's a free service, but I don't know. Again, I would imagine Tacoma has a lot of things. The next one is Washington. So Washington State, L&I, Labor and Industries. Again, that's going to be when you hire somebody. What I really love here is the second to last one, the Small Business Guide. Have you all heard of business.wa.gov? It's an amazing website. It's broken out by what stage in your business. So if you're starting, growing, or exiting, I think, something like that. So that's a great resource, and it gives you kind of all the regulatory tools and guides. And then the last one is Communities Rise. So Communities Rise is a nonprofit in Seattle that offers free legal services for underserved populations, and they have their own definition of that on their website. But they help nonprofits, they help small business, and they have a lot of free resources on there. So, any questions on the resources? Okay, so tools. So we're gonna look at your tools here on the back at the bottom. So mapping things out using flowcharts. What I showed you all today was called Miro. So Miro's the first one on the list. It's great for doing like workflows, building like your operation flow if you want to do a workflow in there. Any of those kind of visual kind of tools. It has mind maps if you want to, and it has templates, so you don't have to like create from scratch. I really like Miro. The free version is actually quite robust. I think you can have up to 3 different boards. But when you go to pay for it, it's actually not that expensive. And they have an AI feature now. So you can just say, hey, make me a mind map of this, or make me an operations tool map, and it will kind of create something for you. So that's Miro at Miro.com. Okay, the next one I was talking about is Tango. So Tango is a AI screen recorder that turns what you're doing into a standard operating procedure document. So it's really cool. I would suggest the paid version. It's $20 a month, which is on the little high side for paid things, but it's worth it because what you do is you download the little app on your desktop, and as you are doing something, it has to be on your computer. You click record and you just do what you're doing, and you click places. And as you click, it grabs a screenshot of what you clicked, and it puts it in a step-by-step checklist of what you're doing. And then what's really cool is if you click into, for example, if you're documenting your client process and you go from your email, whatever email you use, to a website, to something else, it records all the different places that you go. And once it creates a step-by-step document, it also creates a follow-to guide. So for example, if you hire somebody, you send them the guide, and the guide pops up as a checklist on their computer. And as they hit start on the process, and as they go through the process, it checks it off for them. And it shows if they miss a step or not. So Tango.ai is a really, really good one. I don't know if some people know Scribe. Scribe is I think Tango's, sorry, just hit my microphone. I think Tango's better because it provides a step-by-step guide. So Tango's a screen recording, can record your screen. The next one is Loom. So Loom is a video. So Aisha, what I would suggest is get a phone stand for your video and sit it up as you're doing something, and as you're doing it, record yourself on Loom and talk through it. If you talk through it, you're creating a training video. Then what you can do is you can take the transcript from Loom. It actually has an AI now, if you pay for the upgraded version. Don't pay for the upgrade. Just take the transcript, throw it in ChatGPT, and it'll spit you out something.
Technically, what you're doing right now, could you get what he's recording and then use it?
Oh, yeah. Any recordings that will have a transcript. I like Loom because it has the transcript, and you can create training libraries for people. Because again, a lot of people learn better with video training. I'm still a checklist read a document, but you want to cover all your bases when you're documenting something, right? So you can have a video, you can turn the video into checklist or step-by-step. And Loom, they have a free version, but you can't do a video, I think, over 5 minutes. But a lot of training videos shouldn't be over 5 minutes. So you can get away with the free version. And a lot of these I'm saying, I like the free versions. Some of them I choose to pay, some of them I keep at the free. So Loom's a really good one. There is one that I just newly discovered that combines what Tango does and what Loom does. So if you are on your screen, or you can record a video and you can upload the video, and it will create a training video for you, and it will create the document for you within, like, as a part of a training module. It's called Cluso, but it's expensive. So that's why it's not on my list, because it's expensive. It's worth it for certain businesses, but these are free, cheap versions to kind of put them together. So ChatGPT, if the operation process map gets you stuck, go ask ChatGPT, hey, I'm a event planner that is trying to map my operations. Give me a list of my areas of operations. And it will just spit them out. Okay, what typical tasks underneath those operations should I be doing? And it'll spit those out. It will create this for you right there. So ChatGPT is a really good kind of. It helps, yeah, it helps to start the process. I wouldn't rely on it for everything, but it helps to get you thinking. Like, oh yeah, I do this, but it's missing this, But it's a starting place. I say ChatGPT takes you from 40 to 60% of the way anyway, and then you have to kind of take it the rest. So that's kind of your documenting things, and then implementing and managing. So if you end up getting employees, or even yourself, I would start suggesting looking at task management systems. So the one I like to use is ClickUp. People like to use Monday. I like to use Asana. I use Asana with clients. Asana is nice because you can just put a task and assign it to someone, and it gets sent to them, and they do it. And you can tell when they do it because they check it off or not. And it's like their task checklist. So any of these, again, the free versions are totally fine as a small business. You can do a lot with the free versions. So ClickUp is a really good one. Asana, like I said, is a really good one. I like Notion. Notion is another AI hub that you can use to implement things. Notion, to me, takes more setup than like a ClickUp does. Like ClickUp and Asana and Monday all have templates. So they have project management templates. They have all that. Notion does have templates, but they're created by users. So I love it because I can build something out, but it's overwhelming when you first start. But it's a good tool. It's another tool. And then Trainual. Trainual, again, a little pricey for a new business, but this is a really good way to train people when you decide to bring people on. You can put, like, if you have a customer service training area, you just put them in front of a computer, or you send it to them at their home, and they go through it as like a training thing. Like we all used to back in the day when we would go to like work in a restaurant or like chain restaurant. Welcome to Applebee's, and this is Trainual is a really good one for that. It is. I would invest in it if you're going to start having more employees. So Any questions on those? Any questions on specific things that you do if there's a tool for it? Those are all, like, obviously they're my preferences. I've used other things for other stuff, but you know, again, I would just suggest leaning on ChatGPT. Say, hey, I need a tool for this, and it will help kind of guide you in certain things. Ask it questions. Ask it a lot of questions. It will just give you starting points for your business. Cool. Any last things? Because we're going to get into how to get started. I want to make sure we're good on time. Ooh, we are running late. Okay, so quick how to get started. We talked about it. This is a big slide. I'm not going to go through all of it, but we know where you're starting from. We talked about that today. You don't have a team, but when you do, your team knows. Your team is going to know because they're the ones in the trenches with you. Prioritize your improvements. Prioritize your documents. You're not going to have time to do it all at once. Use video when you can. Use the screen recording while you're doing it. And if you're recording yourself in the video, make sure you're talking through it so the transcripts can come out. And then have your little list next to you. Have your task list next to you. And then just take those small bites. Again, like I say, have robots help. What can be automated? There's a lot of email automation tools out there that you can get to clients quickly. There's a lot of those out there, so ask the robots to help you. They're there to help us, right? So let's figure out how to use them.